Hello, audience. Welcome to another episode of Have You Seen It? I am Charles, and I'm going to turn to the lovely Denise. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am wonderfully, wonderfully excellent.
Okay.
It's a great day in the neighborhood.
All right.
I always say that if you wake up in the morning, everything else gets a lot more easier. So, Denise, let's start it off here. What film are you going to recommend to our audience today?
Okay. All right, the movie I'm recommending is Finch. It's an Apple TV film starring Tom Hanks as Finch, Caleb Landry Jones as Jeff, and Seamus the dog as Goodyear. Okay? So the movie takes place in a post-apocalyptic Earth situation. They have survived, and when we meet Finch and Goodyear, we are in what we would call like a safe house or a bunker that's got all the amenities of home and everything that he needs to survive moving forward. So Tom Hanks decides to build a robot, and the purpose of this robot is for the robot to protect his dog later on.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave that there. Once this robot is built, this robot learns about life, about love, about friendship, and the human connection, because they are going to be on a road trip to San Francisco, because other people that have survived, word on the street is San Francisco is where you need to get to. Mm-hmm. So they're on this road trip, this journey. If you have seen Tom Hanks hold a movie by himself with an inanimate object, this is the movie for you. I don't know any other actor that can do it and do it as well as him, because the dialogue was as if he was traveling with his best friend. He got mad at him. Just like you would a best friend. They shared, just a friendship. And so once they start this journey and they continue this journey, things develop. You find out some things about Finch I was not expecting, and I'm going to leave it there. If you like Tom Hanks,
which I do.
If you like Tom Hanks, you are going to enjoy this movie, because part of what I like about Tom Hanks in a movie holding his own is, how are you going to do this?
Right.
How are you going to do this time?
Right.
You taught him to meddle, okay? So I do recommend Finch. It's a nice little story.
Okay.
What you got?
I am going to recommend Ghostbusters Afterlife, starring Carrie Coons, Finn Wolfhard, McKenna Grace, Paul Rudd, and a lot of really, really famous people. So Callie, played by Carrie Coons, she has just inherited a farmhouse, and it came at a very, very opportune time because she just got evicted from her apartment. Mm-hmm. So her and her two kids, Trevor, played by Finn Wolfhard, and Phoebe, played by McKenna Grace, they got in a car and traveled to a small town in Oklahoma called Somerville. So they got there at Somerville, and Phoebe, she's the girl loves science, mm-hmm. and she is really a little genius, right, when it comes to science. And just like any kid, she goes searching, exploring in the farmhouse, and she finds, which she didn't know at the time, a ghost trap. Mm-hmm. So she puts it in her school bag and she goes to school, and there she meets Gary, the science teacher, played by Paul Rudd. And he sees the ghost trap, and he tells her, hey, this is a ghost trap. And he tells her who invents it. And it was Egon Spengler, her grandfather, who she did not know that was her grandfather, right? So now she's pissed at her mom, right? Because she knows who Egon Spengler is, right? And so now she is now determined to find out with her brother Trevor why Egon, her grandfather, moved to Somerville, right? And set up all this crap, right, at this farmhouse. So it was a good story. I liked it. It was a good story. It wasn't as funny as the previous Ghostbuster. I truly enjoyed the one with all the women in it, right? I truly enjoyed that one. It had some funny moments in it, but the best thing about this movie is it's really nostalgic. I mean, really, really nostalgic. And I won't go no farther than that, right? But you're gonna really like this movie. Great story, right? And I recommend Ghostbusters Afterlife. You got to go to the theater to see it, though.
Okay.
You got to go.
Okay.
So, who is your nailed it?
My nailed it is Sanaa Lathan from the movie Love and Basketball. And the one scene that always gets me is the scene where she challenges Omar Epps to a basketball game. And he asks, for what? And she says, your heart. Oh.
So mushy.
Well, it was good. The scene was good, and the soundtrack was good. And if you listen to the song that was playing in the background, it was Michelle Indigeo cello, and it just
caught it, huh? Caught the
brought it all together. And so that is my nailed it. So if you haven't seen Love and Basketball, or you haven't seen it in a long time, just fast forward to that scene, and that's my nailed it. What's yours?
So my nailed it is, I'm going to go a little bit off track here. And my nailed it is going to be Ray Parker Jr. singing the soundtrack to Ghostbusters. You know when you hear this music, right? You know when you hear it, right? You know it is the Ghostbusters theme. And it make you want to just say, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. It's a great song. I mean, the song has absolutely stood the test of time. And I find myself in the movies when it was playing, right? My feet was going, right? It was all good, right? So my nailed it is Ray Parker Jr., Ghostbusters.
All right. All right, folks, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And we are available on every podcast platform in the universe. Just type in, have you seen it, with Charles and Denise, and there we will be.
Audience, thank you very much for joining us for another episode of Have You Seen It with my homie and yours truly. And we are out.
Bye-bye.